Have you ever felt that deep fire within you? The kind of ambition that makes you dream big, imagine bold futures, and set grand goals. Yet somehow, you still find yourself lying down, endlessly scrolling, letting the hours slip away without doing a thing. If that sounds like you, it's not because you're lazy. It's because you haven't fully understood what's really going on in your mind. Today's episode will uncover the truth. Why ambitious people like you often find themselves stuck in procrastination. How to start when everything feels overwhelming. And most importantly, how to break through that lazy loop with simple, powerful steps. Welcome to Kunzy Podcast English, where we dive into the quiet struggles of ambitious minds and turn inertia into action. If you're ready to start your journey, let's dive right in. Part 1. Why you feel lazy, even when you have big dreams. Have you ever just laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining all the amazing things you want to do with your life? Writing a book, learning a new language, getting fit, building something meaningful, something big. You feel that fire for a moment. You say, yes, I'm going to change. I'm going to do this. But then you pick up your phone, you scroll, you watch one video, then another. An hour slips by, then 2. The fire fades, and you whisper to yourself, tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow. But deep down, you know tomorrow never comes. So what's really happening here? You have dreams. You have goals. You even feel excited when you think about them. But you don't act. Not because you're stupid. Not because you don't care. And definitely not because you're lazy, even though you tell yourself that every night. The real reason runs deeper, and understanding it might be the key to everything. Here's the truth. Your brain is wired to avoid pain and seek comfort. That's not your fault. It's biology. Ancient survival instincts. Thousands of years ago, if a caveman saw a lion, he didn't sit down and write a game plan. He ran, instinctively, to survive. And today, your brain reacts the same way to a different kind of threat, a task that feels too big, too hard, or too uncertain. You say, I want to write a book. And your brain says, 200 pages? How? Where do we say, I want to get fit? And your brain goes, every day? Are you serious? So instead, it gently nudges you toward the easy stuff. Let's just check Instagram for 5 minutes. And you say, okay, because it's easy. It feels good right now, but it's temporary. And worse, it's quietly killing your potential. The truth is, you're not lazy. You're just overwhelmed, afraid to fail, afraid to begin, afraid you're not good enough. And more than that, you simply don't know where to start. When your dream feels massive, your mind goes blank. It's like staring at a foggy road, not knowing which direction to take. And when you don't know what to do, you choose to do nothing. That's why you end up watching TV instead of chasing your dream. Not because you don't care, but because your brain is trying to protect you from something it doesn't understand. Let's be honest. How many times have you ended the day feeling guilty? Not because you were tired, but because you know you could have done something, but didn't. And the guilt doesn't help. It just makes you feel worse. Because the problem was never about motivation. It's about the fact that you're fighting against the survival wiring in your brain, a wiring that's trained to avoid anything that feels hard, uncertain, or new, even if it could change your life forever. So the next time you feel lazy, pause. Ask yourself, am I feeling overwhelmed by a goal that feels too big? Most of the time, the answer is yes. And when you realize that, you stop blaming yourself. You begin to see that you don't have to climb the entire mountain today. You just need to take one step, a step so small that your brain can't say no. That's where the shift happens. That's where everything changes. Part 2, how to change the habit of laziness. You're not lazy by nature. You've probably told yourself this at some point. I'm just lazy. Maybe it was after an unproductive day. Maybe it was after postponing something important for weeks. You looked at yourself, felt disappointed, and labeled yourself, "This is just who I am." But the truth is, you're not lazy by nature. You weren't born with some lazy gene. You're not doomed to a life of procrastination. Laziness is not your identity. It's a habit, a mental loop your brain has practiced over and over again until it feels like second nature. Let's break it down. Think about the last time you avoided doing something important. Maybe you wanted to save money, but the moment you thought about cutting back on coffee, canceling subscriptions, or skipping hangouts with friends, it felt overwhelming. Not because you're careless with money, but because the idea of sacrificing everything felt like too much. Or maybe you wanted to get healthy, but imagining early morning runs, sore muscles, strict diets, it made you want to stay in bed. Not because you don't want to be fit, but because your brain saw it as too hard, too uncomfortable. That's how your brain works. Avoid pain, seek comfort. And it doesn't always distinguish between real physical pain and emotional discomfort. As soon as something feels hard, your brain raises the red flag and whispers, "Let's not do that. Let's do something easier." And just like that, you're back to your comfort zone. Scrolling, snacking, watching, waiting. Not because you're lazy, but because your brain thinks it's keeping you safe. But here's the good news. Habits can change. And you don't need to change everything at once. You don't have to become a new person overnight. You simply need to recognize that your current behavior is the result of repeated habits, not your true identity. And once you realize that, you take back your power. Instead of saying, "I suck," you begin to ask, "What's one small thing I can change today?" Because here's the thing. Your brain can learn new habits too. Think about when you first learned to drive. It was terrifying. You couldn't remember which pedal was which. You were nervous, unsure. But now, you can drive while listening to music, talking to friends, even thinking about dinner plans. Why? Because your brain memorized the pattern. Positive habits can be programmed the same way. So no, you don't need to change your personality. You need to rebuild small, manageable routines, one step at a time. Every time you choose the helpful thing over the easy thing, you're laying a new brick on the path you want to walk. And over time, that old lazy habit, it fades. Not because you forced yourself to be different, but because you became someone different through better systems and daily choices. And here's the best part. You don't need constant motivation to do this. You just need one small repeated decision over and over until the new habit replaces the old one. Remember, you are not lazy, you're just stuck in an easy loop. And like any loop, you can break it. Part 3. 3 simple steps to stop being lazy and start doing what matters. Imagine a mountain. At the top is your dream. Writing a book, learning to play guitar, getting in shape, becoming financially free. You look up from the base, and the first feeling you get isn't excitement. It's overwhelm. How can I ever climb that far? You haven't even taken a step, and already you feel defeated. That's why you don't move. You're not lazy. You're just approaching it the wrong way. But today, that changes. Here are 3 powerful steps to break free from procrastination and finally take action without needing motivation, without waiting for the perfect time. Step 1. Break it down. Make huge goals tiny. What scares you isn't the dream, it's the size of it. Big goals are paralyzing. Your brain sees 200 pages of a book and screams, impossible. But if you tell yourself, today, I'll just write one sentence, it's no longer scary. One sentence? You can do that. And once you write one, you'll likely write another, and then a paragraph. Why? Because you got past the barrier. Starting. Want to learn guitar? Don't learn the whole song. Just one chord today. Want to start a business? Don't build a website. Just write down one idea. Tiny steps have enormous power. They open the gate to action. And small actions done consistently create massive change. That's not theory. That's how success works. People don't leap to the top. They walk. Step by step, day by day. Step 2. Build easy habits. Don't rely on willpower. We've been told just have more willpower. But willpower is like phone battery. It runs out. Habits are different. Once built, you don't have to think. You just do. So instead of asking, how can I stay motivated? Ask, how can I make this automatic? Start with your environment. Want to work out in the morning? Don't decide in the moment. Tonight, place your workout shoes next to your bed. So when you wake up, they're waiting. That removes friction, the hidden force that fuels procrastination. Want to be more productive? Start your day by writing a quick to-do list. Want more energy? Drink a glass of water the moment you wake up. Every small action you automate becomes a building block of your upgraded life. Don't try to change everything at once. Make your good habits so easy, so obvious, so natural, your brain can't say no. Step 3. Use the 2-minute rule. Make starting effortless. Procrastination doesn't come from the task. It comes from not wanting to start. So don't commit to finishing. Just commit to starting. For 2 minutes. That's it. Tell your brain, we're just warming up. And most of the time, once you begin, you keep going. Want to read? Don't promise an hour. Just read one page. Want to clean? Don't clean the whole house. Just one corner. Want to study? Don't force 3 hours. Just listen to one short clip. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. You don't wait for motivation to act. You act, and motivation follows. When you combine all three, breaking things down, building habits, and starting with just 2 minutes, something shifts. You're no longer the lazy version of yourself. You're doing. You're moving. You're rewriting your life one small step at a time. Part 4. Bonus tip. Reward yourself for starting. Have you ever noticed that we often delay tasks not because they're hard, but because they don't feel exciting enough to start? That's the hidden truth. Starting is the hardest part. But you know what makes starting easier? A reward. Yes, a small, simple reward can flip your brain's resistance into eagerness. Imagine needing to clean your messy room. Exhausting, right? But what if you told yourself, I'll clean just 2 minutes, then I get to listen to my favorite song? Suddenly, it doesn't feel so heavy anymore. Why? Because your brain loves rewards. It craves that feeling of satisfaction, recognition, even the tiniest celebration. And if you learn to leverage that, you can transform procrastination into progress. Want to know a secret about successful people? They don't necessarily work harder than you. They just know how to reward themselves smarter. After every small step forward, they allow themselves a sense of victory. Maybe it's a great cup of coffee after 10 focused minutes, or a proud stretch and smile after completing a tiny task. Don't underestimate this. Rewards, even the smallest ones, release dopamine, the feel-good brain chemical that boosts motivation and momentum. Every time you reward a good action, you're training your brain to repeat it. So why not use that to change your life? Let's say you're trying to learn English, but every time you open a textbook, it feels painful. Try this. I'll study for just 5 minutes, and then I get to watch one funny video or eat a small piece of chocolate. What happens? You start. And after a few rounds, you won't even need the chocolate. You'll begin to enjoy the satisfaction of progress. That's how you build inner motivation. A small reward, a small action, a small win, a chain of success. Here's the key. You don't have to wait until the task is fully done to reward yourself. You just have to begin. Rewards aren't about payment. They're about activation. Keep it simple, light, and personal. A song you love, a sip of your favorite tea, a mini fist pump just for you. Imagine if every little action you took today came with a tiny spark of joy. Wouldn't you take more action? Absolutely. And if you do it long enough, you won't need the external reward anymore. The habit will stick, the momentum will build, and the dream will start to take shape. So ask yourself, what's one tiny action you can start today? And what small reward will make you smile afterward? Just 2 minutes, then reward. That's the beginning of a new chapter where you're no longer lazy, no longer stuck, but finally living the life you've always dreamed of. Part 5. The truth about starting and staying consistent. There's a simple truth most people forget at the beginning of their journey. Everyone you admire, best-selling authors, elite athletes, visionary entrepreneurs, all started from zero. No one was born with iron discipline or endless motivation. The only difference between them and someone still struggling with procrastination is this: they started. No matter how small, how messy, or how imperfect, they took the first step, and in doing so, they lit the first spark of their dream. Imagine your dream is a tiny flame in the cold, dark night. If you ignore it, it dies. But if every day you add just one stick of wood, a single action, no matter how small, one sentence written, one new word learned, a 5-minute walk, the flame will grow. One day, it will be big enough to warm your entire life. What makes people quit is not that they're incapable. It's that they believe they must be excellent from the start. They think they need to write well before they write, be fit before they train, know the whole path before they walk. But the truth is the opposite. You must write badly before writing well. Be weak before getting strong. Walk through fog before you find your direction. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need one decision: to begin. Because when you begin, slowly, clumsily, you're already ahead of 90% of people still waiting for motivation. And when you continue, even after setbacks and stumbles, you build something rare and powerful: consistency. Consistency isn't about never getting tired. It's about rising every time you do. It's not born from bursts of inspiration, but from daily commitment to your future. Even if today you move just 1 inch forward, you're still moving. Even if you pause for a while and return later, you're still trying. Even if you fail or feel lost, you're still living in alignment with your dream. That, not instant success, is what shapes who you are. Don't fall for the myth of overnight success. Behind every fast result is 1,000 hours of failure, countless moments of doubt, and a heart that refused to quit. Every small action you take today lays a brick for the future you imagine. Every tiny step matters, as long as you don't stop. So if you've been waiting for the right time, let me tell you, there is no perfect time. The only time you truly have is right now. Start today. even if it's just for 2 minutes. And when you're tired, rest, but don't quit. When you feel lost, remember why you began. Real change doesn't come from one huge leap. It comes from thousands of small steps taken again and again. You don't have to do everything. You just have to do one thing. Start and keep going. Part 6. A summary for ambitious people who struggle with procrastination. You have a dream. Maybe you want to write a book, learn a new language, start a YouTube channel, launch a business, or simply become healthier and more disciplined. You can see that future clearly in your mind. You know exactly what you want, but day after day you keep putting it off. You set your alarm early but end up hitting snooze. You make detailed plans but forget about them after a few days. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, and then maybe next week. Gradually, day by day, you let the opportunity to build your dream life slip away. But here's the truth. You're not lacking ability. You're not short on determination. And you're not lazy, even if that's what you believe. You just haven't learned how to start the right way. And the good news is, you can change that, starting today, with just 3 simple steps. Step 1, break down the work. One major reason we procrastinate is that we see our goals as huge mountains. The more we think about them, the more overwhelming they feel. For instance, you want to write a book, but thinking about hundreds of pages, editing, publishing, it paralyzes you. Or you want to lose weight, but the thought of 6 months of strict dieting and daily workouts just feels exhausting. The solution? Don't look at the whole mountain. Focus on the first step. Instead of trying to write an entire book, just write 1 sentence today. Instead of running 5 kilometers, just put on your shoes and walk for 5 minutes. Instead of reading an entire book, just read 1 page. When you break a task down into something small and doable, your brain no longer resists. Instead, it cooperates. You begin. And once you begin, it's much easier to keep going. Success doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from small, consistent steps. Every little step you take today is a brick laid in the foundation of your future. Step 2, build habits that run on autopilot. You might believe that changing your life requires strong willpower, but willpower is not always there for you. Some days you're tired. Some days you feel uninspired. If you rely only on motivation or emotion, you'll be at the mercy of how you feel. And emotions change constantly. That's why you need habits. Habits let you act without having to think too hard. They take the pressure off. You don't have to feel ready every day. Your routine carries you forward. For example, if you want to exercise in the morning, place your workout clothes and shoes right next to your bed. When you wake up, they're the first thing you see. If you want to study a new language, create a small corner in your room just for that purpose, with your notebook, pen, and learning materials always ready. Designing your environment to support your goals makes it much easier to build lasting habits. The more often you repeat an action, the deeper the mental groove becomes in your brain. Over time, these grooves become your default behaviors. Eventually, you'll take important actions automatically, without resistance. Step 3, use the 2-minute rule. The hardest part of any task is getting started. Once you're in motion, everything becomes easier. That's why the 2-minute rule is so powerful. It removes the pressure. Promise yourself that you'll only do the task for 2 minutes. That's it. No expectations. No commitment to finish anything huge. Want to learn guitar? Just pick it up and play 1 chord for 2 minutes. Want to write? Open your laptop and type a few lines in 2 minutes. Want to clean your room? Just organize one small corner for 2 minutes. Once you start, inertia often kicks in, and you'll want to keep going. But even if you don't, you've already won because you took action. Change doesn't come from massive actions once in a while. It comes from tiny actions repeated every single day. 2 minutes might seem small, but practice daily over a year, it transforms who you are. And the most important truth, stop waiting for the perfect time. There is no perfect time to start. If you wait until you have motivation, until you feel ready, until life slows down, until you're less busy, you'll never begin. The best time to start is now. Even if you're uncertain, even if you're afraid, even if you don't feel ready, the first step is always the hardest. But once you take it, everything changes. You start shifting your identity. You begin to become someone new. Someone who acts instead of delays. Someone who builds rather than waits. Someone who honors their dreams. No one ever succeeded without stumbling. No one became disciplined without first struggling with procrastination. But they began. They got back up after each setback. They didn't wait for perfect motivation. They moved forward despite the fear, and that's why they went farther. You can do the same. You don't have to do it all. Just start. Stay consistent with one small action every day. Over time, you'll be amazed by how much progress you've made. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to act. And the best time to act is now. If there's one thing you should take with you after today's episode, it's this. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Start small, stay consistent, and trust that every tiny step you take today is quietly building a stronger, wiser, and braver you for tomorrow. Your dream is not too big. You're not too late. And as long as you keep moving, it will always be within reach. Thank you so much for spending your time with Kunzy Podcast English. If today's message resonated with you, inspired you, or helped you see things in a new light, I ask you for just one small favor. Please like this episode, share it with someone who needs it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That simple act helps us reach more people who are searching for hope, motivation, or even just a reason to keep going. This is Kunzy Podcast English, where we grow, learn, and transform one story at a time. See you in the next episode. And until then, keep showing up for yourself every single day.